Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight, Chapter 163, Gate. How tall again? Colkenner's voice resonated incredulously. 250 feet, Rainbow Dash said. I'm not even joking, I'm a Pegasus, I know my heights! Even at a mid-hover, the humongous gaze loomed above her. The stone-white material was ancient, made out of a composite of stone and mortar that had congealed together over the countless centuries from the structure's massive weights. And it's pretty long too. How long? Rainbow flew up, and angled out along the top of the wall. Rainbow peered left and right, both towards the northwest and southwest horizons. I, seriously can't see where it ends. But if I could guess. She narrowed her eyes as her wings flapped on either side of her in the afternoon air. I'd say the south length of the wall curves ever so slightly to the east. Otherwise, it's pretty dang straight. And are you certain it's abandoned? CC, dude. Rainbow Dash hovered over what was once the gated entrance of the wall. This thing is smashed to heck. The door looks like it's made out of solid oak. And yet, it's barely clinging onto the hinges. She glanced down at the giant slabs of sundered wood that hung in the sandy, pelting winds. Any pony with a lick of sense would have fixed this crap by now. If I didn't know better, I'd say it's been pretty smashed for a while. Constructed out of solid oak, you say? Yeah. And I'm guessing it's the same 200 feet in length. Pretty much. What an industry's name could have broken the thing apart? Rainbow opened her mouth, but lingered. She gulped and stammered. I have no clue, C-squared. Hang on a bit. I'm gonna have a look on the other side. She flew through the gate, ducking flakes of ash and sediment that rained down on her from the bellowing winds. After a good 15, she finally pierced the far side of the immensely thick wall. She blinked and stopped in place. At first, her heart skipped a beat, for she felt as though she was looking at a boneyard. After blinking, she realized she was peering down on the pale rooftops of a tiny city. Several domed structures and rectangular walkways stretched below. Half of the buildings were collapsed, with several chunks of stone and concrete forming piles of refuse within the overgrown streets. Yep, definitely not Dream Valley. Beg your pardon? Shh, I'll update you in a moment. She dove down, hovering closely over the 2- and 3-story structures. Rainbow Dash got as close a look of the ruined townscape as she could afford to. The pale white buildings, many of them once held color, but the surfaces had faded over the years of the arid exposure to the elements. Everything, many had been decrepit and demolished. But she'd be lying if she said it was completely devoid of life. Grass and vegetation, the first green things she had seen in days, were growing in various spots. Water troughs, window sills, and aqueducts were overgrown with flora, so collected in former plots of land where wooden houses once stood. Even a few flowers dangled out of collapsed huts and imploded storage crates. Lining the edges of several of the buildings, especially the larger ones, were brown and black splotches of discoloration. Even after innumerable decades of neglect, Rainbow spotted the unquestionable signs of burn marks. Looking deep into the windows and door frames of the houses, several piles of ash rested where furniture had once been. In abandoned gardens, hollow husks of charred trees stretched skyward forever. You still there, C-squared? At your beck and call, Philly. His voice replied. Every street is empty. Rainbow Dash said, gliding a few feet over the ground as she passed through a rubble-strewn neighborhood. Looks like the ponies here had a thing for stone, but it didn't save them in the end. Save them from what? Looks like a fire. I'm guessing they had to abandon the place from a terrible blaze. She paused, perched on a hollowed-out schoolyard, and turned around and looked at the large, smashed gate. Or worse. Are you sure there's no other equines around? I don't know about you, but I'm not prepared to look in every single building of this place. She flew up above the rooftops and looked towards the eastern horizon. Besides, her eyes narrowed as she spotted several splotches of curious structures dotting a long, brown plain. I'm willing to bet that this isn't the only town. I'm guessing this was some sort of settlement built for those ponies that looked after the gates. I heard Stalingrad and Equestria had a similar township. Stalingrad, that sounds like a pretty name for a metropolis. Yeah, well, it's pretty name only, Rimurash said, grumbling. Hold on for a second, I'm about to do something I haven't done in ages. What's that? Visit a library, I think. She murmured, flying down into a large, half-collapsed building with several rows of dust-strewn bookcases. Hers made echoing scraping noises as she touched down and marched towards the misty archives. Each time she breathed, the particles in the air undulated around her. Squinting, she glanced down at the overturned shelves and nudged them with her hooves. She dug and dug until she found a rectangular structure. Pulling it out, she gave it a good shake. The dust fell off to reveal a book, but the pages were too torn to even consider reading. Finding any records? Cole Counter eventually said. No such luck. Rainbow muttered, rummaging through the piles of paper debris. Too bad I'm not an egghead, or else I'd be perfect for this thing. Not much of a literary figure. I fell asleep once to the Pegasus Meteorological Manual. Then how did you ever make a living in Equestria? I let my coolness outweigh my dumbness. How quaint. See, my lifestyle kept me from saying crap like that. Like what? How quaint. Don't be so foolish. Shh. Dead civilization, remember? Rainbow kicked the pile one last time. A cloud of dust flew up, and she coughed savagely in the wake of it. Yeah, this is lame. Something glinted in the corner of her peripheral vision. She turned to look. There was a partly buried container embossed with gold. The shine was barely noticeable, considering all the weathering that sand and grit had done throughout the years. Nevertheless, Rainbow Dash trotted towards it and gave it a meager shove with her forelimbs. The thing turned over and crashed against the marble floor of the library. Flecks of metal and glass flew every which way. But something with a burgundy binder had survived the ordeal. Reaching down, Rainbow picked up the book and did a double take. Whoa. What is it? Something familiar. She muttered, then turned the book around until she saw the image that flashed to the front of it. It was a circle with two curved lines attached to the side of it. Curious, Rainbow Dash sat down on her haunches and opened her saddlebag and produced the medallion from the corpse. She flipped to the other side of the coin, opposite from the engraving of the two maces in the palace. To her fascination, the emblem matched the symbol of the coin. I think I might have found the survivor's neck of the woods. You don't say. This book has the symbol from the coin we found on him. What's the book about? Well, it has no title, but it was placed in some special container. No doubt something that was on display in this place at one time. She opened the book and blew off the dust. Squinting, she flipped through several pages. Is it legible? Yep. That's remarkable. Not really. I've traveled a long distance, and the same thing seems to come out of all ponies' mouths, regardless of what goes in it. How's that? There's a place called Windthrow, where they like to eat things that used to walk, sleep, and ask other creatures not to eat them. Your civilization is purely vegetarian? We're sane, if that's what you mean. I applaud you for being civil and open-minded up to this very moment. Gee, you're welcome. I'm glad Desert Light was willing to part with so much lettuce for you. I could have asked the guy for a grilled cheese sandwich, but something tells me he would have shoved his horn through my throat. Rima stopped muttering in time to focus on a single page. She read out loud. To my brother's brother, give equal share, for the sake of equality and justice, such is the civil Dalian way. Are you reading? If I thought that last stuff, then I'm ready to have my head examined. Sounds like a book of social etiquette and customs. You guess well. Rimadash murmured as she turned the book over and over. This is full of boring scenarios of ceremony and stuff. But the same name appears over and over again, Sylvadel. Name of the province? That's what I'm thinking. Still, no word on how everything hit the fan. Well, if this is a published and manufactured book, I doubt it would have been written after a terrible apocalypse. Guess there's only one way to learn more. Rimadash stuck the book into her saddlebag, stretched her wings, and propelled herself east, out of the library. Here's to hoping I can see more stuff before sunfall.